Hey everybody, welcome back to Video Game. So today I got a fun and exciting episode for you guys this evening as we're playing and reviewing the recently released WWF Superstars course from Jotego and his team. And if you grew up with these games in the arcade back in the day, you'll know that Technos Japan made some awesome 2D wrestling games. They are some of the best things around as far as the era is concerned. But trust me when I say they can be exceedingly difficult to actually win the title in the end. You have to have a lot of practicing on these. And while it is still a beta core, it has just enough options for you to get in and start playing, which is what we're going to do right now. Before we get too far involved, though, do me a huge favor down below, hit like and subscribe and ring that notification bell. Definitely helps us out. And if you feel so inclined and want to support the channel, you got a Patreon link down below as well. And if you're wondering, that abrupt transition for your ring entrance is part of the game. This game definitely has like 10% jankiness around the edges, but what it really has is just a ton of fun. These are classic arcade wrestling games, and you probably played one if not more of them back in the day in the arcades. And if you bring a second player, it's going to be all the more fun, whether you're doing versus or if you're on a tag team match in and of itself. This is just one of those arcade releases I remember getting in my local arcade in Vermont growing up, and I absolutely played the ever-loving hell out of it because I loved WWF back in the day, but I stopped watching wrestling in like 1998, 1999 and never actually came back to it. But growing up, this was absolutely something that would be right up my alley because I did not miss any wrestling on television if I could help it. And the core implementation here, even if it isn't beta, feels absolutely awesome. And I'm going to actually do some MAME comparisons in here as well, because I'm going to try to add some comparisons to the single core reviews moving forward into the future. And you'll see there, the Ultimate Warrior is about ready to grab a table on the outside of the ring. Because the best part about this game is you can have the fight outside the ring as well as inside, so long as you don't hit that 10 count. So you'll see here Ultimate Warrior just absolutely getting ready to body the Honky Tonk Man there. And if we move over to MAME, we can now see the comparative difference between these two. And honestly, they are extremely similar. For a first pass core, obviously Jotego does betas before they actually come out to the public. And this is exceptionally good looking, and it plays exactly how you would expect. Now do be aware that if you've never played this game before, 2D wrestling games feel half like a puzzle, half like a fighting game. You're never quite sure exactly what you're doing. You need to look up the movesets of this game. If you go in blind and just try to tap buttons, you're going to be a little bit confused because there's so many different mechanics at play here. Definitely look up a moveset, look up an image of a move strip. That way you're going to be that much better actually playing the game when you get into it. Because again, if you go in blind, you're going to be very confused and start losing matches pretty quickly. Because I will say, even on easy difficulty, this game can be mind-numbingly difficult to actually beat the CPU. You need to study them, learn their weaknesses, and figure out when you can actually get your moves in. But as far as even losing, Macho Man there definitely pointing his finger at you and saying it was your fault that you lost. Even the intro sequence here with all of the different wrestlers is just so much fun to watch. And you'll see there the animators put in Hulk Hogan's classic "I Can't Hear You" ear cupping thing. It is just such a love letter to wrestling fans, and it is a fun core from Jotego. Obviously, I think most people are still waiting for the X-Men core, which is not out yet as of the recording of this video, but in the interim, this is a great core to get. And obviously, if you're going to have a game night soon, load this thing up and have your friends play it as well, because all of these 2D wrestling games are just that much better when you actually bring human opponents in, because this is the era of CPU cheapness. It always feels like a midway game where maybe it's predicting everything you're doing and changes the difficulty on the fly. I have no evidence of that, but it does seem like one of those titles which is kind of there to try to steal as much pocket change from you as possible. Let's jump back in, and I'm going to give you your sound sample. I'm actually going to have some fun with this video. First, I'm going to give you a sound sample from Mr. FPGA, then I'll come back for like 15 seconds, then I'll give you a sound sample from MAME, so you can hear whether or not there's any difference between MAME and what you can do, and Mr. FPGA and what you can do now that there is a core here. But go ahead and listen to the audio for about 35 seconds, and I'll be back and tell you when we're going to change it out. But the audio here is good, so enjoy it. sounds like the WWF Superstars I know, love, and remember, but go ahead and listen to the same match in MAME, and you tell me in the comments down below if you can hear any differences, because I definitely hear a few. I'd say the MAME sound sample sounds a little bit thinner and a little bit more hollow and a little bit less rich and bassy as far as the audio quality is concerned compared to the MiSTer FPGA core, but because I don't have an original arcade board in my collection for this, and honestly watching other YouTube videos means you have to deal with compression and whatever sound setup that person who captured had, I really can't say which one would be closer to accurate, but I will say that I enjoy that kind of rich audio that the MiSTer FPGA version is giving us. But you tell me down below which one you like, and you're going to see here again, they've taken a loss, and big thanks to Andy D for helping us some of the footage for this video as well. This is the type of game, again, you just need to learn it, and of course you also have the sequel on Analogue Pocket, and that's my segue into telling you that this also is existing for the Pocket. You can grab this core for MiSTer FPGA or Analogue Pocket and play it how you want, but obviously I focus a lot more on MiSTer on the channel than Pocket, so that is the lead platform for something like this. But definitely check these wrestling games out. I would actually say WWF Superstars is my preferred game versus something like WrestleFest, but both are really good, and obviously this one gives you the Royal Rumble, and probably that is the best event that the WWF ever did actually invent. Not cage matches, not ladder matches, the Royal Rumble, which is something I grew up loving to watch, and playing it here in WrestleFest is always a fun time. But that is just great. We have another arcade core from Jotego, and he really has been giving us a ton of fun arcade cores this year. And of course we also got the Neo Geo Pocket Color core recently as well, and there's still a lot of months in the year. We have most of September, all of October, November, and December, so I can't wait to see what Jotego and his team release next. But leave me a comment down below and tell me, what's the one arcade core, if you could just snap your fingers and make it appear, what would it be tomorrow? For me, there's a ton of different options, but I can't wait to hear what you guys say. And do be aware that you do have different revisions of the ROM, the Japanese version, as well as all of the different US ones, so you can kind of pick and choose which files you want to add there, because always these boards came out with multiple different ROM revisions in multiple different regions, and sometimes one ROM revision can be easier or more difficult or have some changes than the other, and that was just kind of how arcade games worked back in the day. You would see so many different versions. And moving back to the MAME variant here, I would say there's something about the ROM that I used in MAME that feels slightly easier than the one over on MiSTer FPGA, but there's no wrong way to play the game as far as the file set you use is concerned. The only wrong way to play the game is to not play it at all, because this is an absolute 10 out of 10 classic arcade wrestling game. I'm not saying it's a 10 out of 10 as far as the review is concerned, it's probably like a 7.5 or 8 out of 10. But as far as the fun factor and classic nature of it is concerned, I absolutely love it. I'm so glad it's here. So we'll see you guys next time though. Bye bye.